Hey there everybody, Brett from Love Bats in the Belfry back for a new video. I'm missing the cover that's normally on this microphone, so it might be a little echoey, so apologies if that is the case. I'm here to show off some cool new stuff, kind of a spooky edition, but I have gotten a couple things. Actually, there's one particular thing. Pumpkin's making noise because I think when Pumpkin hears people talking, he decides that he needs to make his voice heard as well. But I will start off by I bought a DVD series recently. This did go onto Amazon Prime, I think, within the last few months. I will be honest, I'm one of those paranoid people that when something's on streaming, I'm waiting for it any day just to disappear from streaming. Netflix at least likes to give you a heads up of when that is going to happen. I think a lot of other streaming services don't really tell you that, but this was on Amazon Prime. My wife and I just watched it on a whim. I had always heard good things about it, but it's a TV show from the 90s called Northern Exposure. And I find myself nowadays, while being a huge horror fan and watching that type of stuff a lot of times, like, my wife and I just really want to watch something that's just very easy to just, cool wind down from the day. And Northern Exposure is weirdly one of those shows where, it's a great end of the day show, but I also want to, watch it in the morning as well because it's such a cool and chill type show. For those who are a little unfamiliar, it's about this doctor who he has to pay for basically his scholarship to medical school by going to Alaska and kind of just running a practice. And so he thinks he's going to Anchorage, and then turns out he gets redirected to Sicily, Alaska, which is a very small town. It's 200 some people. I think actually in one part of season 1 they said there was 800 people, but regardless, very small town where everyone knows everyone. And this is one of those slice of life type shows where it's that is the basic premise, but you follow a lot of different characters and just kind of these little individual stories that usually have some sort of big everything comes together by the end of the show. And it's a very unique TV show in that regard. Another way it is a unique TV show is the fact that I don't think this TV show would be made nowadays. There's a lot of moments in the show that are very much not politically correct. There's some controversial statements made in the show. There's even one episode I've seen so far where it's all about whether men should be circumcised or not. And this TV show is not afraid to tackle some stuff. But at its core, this show is a comedy. It is funny. It's not one of those shows that has to try to make you laugh every 5 seconds, though, and I like that about it. The characters in the end are they're very flawed people, but at the end of the day, you still like these characters, and most of these characters are very easy to like. I would say my least favorite character is the character of Maurice. That might be because where I'm from, I'm not actually from a small town, but I'm from Maryland, and the town I live in, it's not really a small town, but it has a small town type feel because it seems like a lot of people know each other. And I feel like the character of Maurice is someone I've met 2 or 3 times in my life, and where you're deep down they're okay, but they got a lot of flaws to them, and some of their values don't share the same, I don't have the same viewpoint as their viewpoint. But Maurice still is a pretty solid written character, and most of the characters I actually love in this show. And my favorites being among Ed's one of my favorite characters. Joel, the doctor, who is technically the main character, he's very good. He is a bit dramatic at times, though. He's definitely, this is such a fish out of water type series. My dog is outside of this room wondering what I'm doing. But yeah, Joel is a very fish out of water type character, so it's like he goes from being like a guy from New York to living in Alaska, which is polar opposite of, everything he's used to. But I love it. I love the setting of this show. I love the opening credits. The theme to the show is amazing. It's just stuck in my head pretty much all the time. I'm like one of those, like, I'm somebody that, like, I could go like days without watching an episode of this, but the main theme song is stuck in my head all the time. But yeah, this show lasted 6 seasons. My wife and I are just on season 2 now. I don't really know if it ends great or not. I mean, this being 6 seasons, they could potentially not have the greatest ending. I know usually TV shows that kind of go well past their expiration date don't usually have great last seasons. Hopefully that's not the case here, and it's enjoyable throughout. But yeah, there's a lot to love about these characters, a lot to love about this show. It is just such a chill show to just sit down and watch, because it's like, it's one of those shows where it's like nothing really happens, but things do happen that, you're engaged with watching this. And yeah, it's just fun. Like, I would love to visit, Alaska. Just, it's funny because this wasn't shot in Alaska, but it has such a Alaska type feel to it. But yeah, I love that, once this disappears off Prime, I'll at least be able to watch it, and own it and such, because I think before Prime it wasn't on any sort of streaming service, so had to go old school and get the DVDs. So yeah, there's that. I am a fan of the, he's not really a YouTuber anymore, but a guy named Dinosaur Dracula. He usually does these fun packs, and I haven't actually, so full transparency, I have opened already this box, but I just wanted to show the stuff off. And I think I've only done one actual video of unboxing a Dino Drag fun pack, but this was from the month of May, and I wanted to show these things off. And I might share a little story time. I don't know, we'll see. But one of the funny things I got was there's these images, these wide vision little images of shots from the movie Independence Day in the 90s. So if you remember that, if you want to take a look, but if you can tell, but the quality of some of these things, not the best quality. It definitely looks like it is authentically from the 90s, and yeah, I have to say, because if this was remastered, these images definitely would not look like this. Sorry about the glare, but yeah, they're pretty funny. But that's the kind of the beauty of these little fun packs. You just kind of like see these funny little tiny things that Matt from Dino Drag like puts out, and yeah, he's all about 80s, 90s nostalgia. So, I mean, you can check out his website, dinodrag.com. I promise I'm not sponsoring this, but I'm just, giving a shout out because he brings me a lot of, weird laughs and, such a niche thing. But yeah, little Independence Day, little cards there. Sometimes I'll put candy and such in things. A little thing of Pop Rocks, popping candy, cotton candy explosion. I haven't opened those yet. Zoltar Speaks card, which is interesting. And on the back it says, "Your wish is granted." And yeah, based on the quality, you're just like, yeah, this is something that wasn't made in the year 2025. So, I don't know. Old stuff just has such a charm to me, and that's why I love, these little fun packs, because a lot of the stuff is actually from like the 80s or 90s. These are, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think these are little Thundercats tattoos. Thundercats was something I watched in the 90s. I really couldn't recall anything, real thing about it, honestly. Yeah, that was a thing, and, maybe I'll have some fun with my daughter doing little temporary tattoos. This is a little fortune. Oh yeah, because this was the Zoltar Speaks. I think this is like the little bag it came in. But yeah, the fortune teller fish. Little stuff on the back. I didn't really look that much in it. Place fish in palm of the hand, and its movements will indicate moving head, jealousy; moving tail, indifference; moving head and tail, in love; curling sides, fickle; turns over, false; motionless is a dead one; curls up entirely is passionate. Oh, well, this is it. Yeah, place fish in the palm of your hand. Well, I'm not going to be able to do that on camera. But yeah, I guess it fell out of the bag there, but that's pretty funny. All right, let's. I'm trying to save some of the best ones for last here. But next, here and there in the fun packs, there is a thing called wax melts, and this theme was a particular theme. It was like kind of circus themed, which is Dark Carnival wax melts. I definitely want to give these a try. I've already smelled them, and they do kind of smell like cotton candy. But yeah, there was one other thing I got of a wax melt in another box. I think it was like kind of Ghostbusters themed. It was pretty cool. But yeah, these smell like cotton candy. There was this little print I got. I actually forgot to bring it in here. But it was this little like circus little advertisement thing. And there's a couple of those little advertisement things I got in previous fun packs that I actually ended up framing and putting in our kitchen. Like there was a Gremlins one we got for Gremlins cereal. And so that's framed and hanging in our kitchen. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. I don't know. There's like, these things interest me. I'm sure people watching this are like, this is silly. Like, why are you into this stuff? But yeah, that's the case. And to top it all off, we just had a Friday the 13th in June. And my wife and I actually watched Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which is funny because like 6 more movies came after that one. But we wanted to watch a Friday the 13th movie on Friday the 13th, and that's the one we chose. But with that, we were getting a Friday the 13th in June, so I got a cassette of the original Friday the 13th soundtrack. And yeah, there's like this little company. I'll find out the name in a minute, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. I just need to get a tape player. That's one thing I don't have. I have an old CD player. I still like buy a CD here and there, because I'm weird. But one thing I gotta get is a cassette player, because now I have this along with my Monster Squad cassette that I haven't played yet. But that was actually in a previous Dino Drag fun pack. But yeah, Harry Manfredini, who did the score to all the Friday the 13th movies. Be cool to just kind of pop this on and give the house a little bit of a spooky atmosphere. Can't do that too often though. With a 2-year-old, you don't want to scare her too bad. And then I got this little sticker. I forget what these are even called, but apparently my wife had one when she was little. But I got a little sticker of that, so I got to put that somewhere useful. I hope you guys like story time, because I'm going to do that. This is Dino Drag's little, fun pack newsletter, the May 2025 edition. So hope you don't mind me reading from this. But it said, "Happy May, subscribers. With this month's fun pack, you've entered the spooky Dark Carnival, a place where wonders never cease and danger lurks around every corner. You zip past the Ferris wheel, accurately assessing that is not up to code, and find yourself staring up at none other than Jason Voorhees. What's he doing at a carnival? Nobody knows, but it must have put him in a good mood. He hands you a sealed, factory fresh and officially licensed copy of Friday the 13th score on audio cassette. These slick tapes were produced by the fine folks over at TerrorVision. There's your answer for, finding those cassettes, TerrorVision.com. They are real deal scores that will absolutely play, assuming you can find your old tape deck. I just need to buy one. Jason also hands you a Quaker s'mores bar. Actually, I got hungry, so I ended up eating that. With a wink and a nod. It takes you a minute to understand. S'mores, campfires, Camp Crystal Lake. Oh, right, but the snack only makes you hungrier. Yeah. You wander towards the cotton candy booth. They're only selling it in giant bags, so you settle on the next best thing, cotton candy pop rocks. The scents at this dark carnival thrill you, and you will never want to forget them. Fortunately, you won't have to, thanks to your official Dark Carnival wax melt set, courtesy of House of Wax Melts, houseofwaxmelts.com. This blissful, I don't know that word, melange, sorry, I'm bad at this, of carnival appropriate scents hits like a buffet of candy and funnel cakes. You play a few games at the midway, you're pretty good at them, but the prizes are unusual. Among other oddities, you win 3 packs of super rare Thundercat stickers from the 80s. Stickers is in quotes. I want to guess it's those like temporary tattoos. These are from Venezuela, and I'm putting stickers in quotes because they're really cards that were meant to tape into albums, Panini style. What a find. On the way out, someone hands you a mini poster featuring Circus Fun cereal. That's the little advertisement I mentioned earlier, which seems vaguely fitting, much more so than the essay you find on the ground about Macho Man Randy Savage. This carnival is so weird, but I bet you had fun. See you in June. There's a little art challenge. I will kind of just let that be. I hope you don't mind more story time, but I felt like it was appropriate to share this month's essay called Macho Man Lives Behind the Mall. And me myself, I'm a pretty big Macho Man Randy Savage fan, R.I.P. So here we go, an essay by Matt from Dino Drag. As a child, my hero was Macho Man Randy Savage. My first crush was his manager, Miss Elizabeth, who also happened to be his real-life wife. There were larger-than-life WWF superstars, and I was obsessed with them. Posters everywhere. Photos cut from magazines taped all over my school notebooks. After WrestleMania 4 in 1988, when Savage won the world title and celebrated by hoisting Liz up on his shoulder, I shed happy tears. It was around that time when the word spread around school that the duo lived in Staten Island, where I grew up. Rumor was that they lived somewhere behind the mall. I might have considered it a tall tale except for one thing. There was a Polynesian restaurant near that mall called Jade Island. My family dined there often. Instead of paying the check at the table, you had to bring it to a register near the entrance, which was on top of a display case full of cigarettes and candy bars. Why a Polynesian restaurant sold cigarettes and candy bars, I have no idea, but that's neither here nor there. I remember that taped to the top of the display case was a curious artifact, a Macho Man Randy Savage trading card signed by the man himself. For a while, I just assumed the owner was a wrestling fan. Armed with his new info, I changed my tune. Randy and Liz must have eaten there. They might have even sat in the same booth that me and my parents always picked. The one lit by a taxidermied pufferfish with a light bulb shoved in its stomach. So began a year-long quest to locate my favorite couple. I'd asked to go to the mall often and always request that we drove around the back so I could peek at the condominiums where Randy and Elizabeth allegedly lived. It seemed a bit modest for a WWF champion, but why would I doubt the world of some rando from gym class? Who would lie about something so important? In my wildest dreams, I'd meet them and they'd be so appreciative of my support that they invite me to wrestling events as their special guest. Backstage access, the whole 9 yards. I imagine them letting me hang out at their condo where I'd watch old wrestling videos with my favorite people in the world. On a subsequent visit to Jade Island, I'd asked the guy working the register if Macho Man had indeed dined at their establishment. Actually, I made my father ask because I was too shy. The man confirmed that he did, responding with an "Oh yeah!" that may have been intended as a Macho Man impression, but to this day I have never been sure. Unfortunately, eating at a restaurant that they'd once visit was as close as I ever came to meeting them. Eventually, I stopped believing they ever lived on Staten Island. The ring announcer always said that Randy was from Florida anyways. Maybe they just visited Jade Island after working at the Nassau Coliseum. They had killer wonton soup. It was worth the detour. Cut to today, I just discovered a Reddit thread where several Staten Islanders discussed the rumor of the Savage's residency. They even talked about him living behind the mall. Wow, so was it true all along? Now, I wish I'd tried harder. I should have camped out in the Sears parking lot with a pair of binoculars and one of Macho Man's souvenir foam fingers. Oh well. And that's our story. I found that extremely riveting. I hope you enjoyed as well. So I'm going to wrap this up. My final thing I want to show off, actually my wife gave me permission because this is actually her gift. But I mean, I get to enjoy it because it really is just for display. But for her birthday just happened, and actually I want to shout out my nieces, Madison and Penelope, because apparently they put these together. I don't know where it was from. I have to ask them. Sorry guys if you're watching this for any reason. I'm not sure if you are. But a lot of little horror characters here. But they're magnets for our fridge. We got a little Beetlejuice one. Very cool. We have Miss Annabelle. We have Jason Voorhees. We have Michael Myers. I just realized that laptop's in the corner here. Sorry. Freddy Krueger. And finally, we got Chucky. They're all really cool. I have to say, I mean, I don't like to pick favorites, but I would say Jason and Jason and Beetlejuice might be my favorites. But yeah, that's it. I hope you all have enjoyed this. Yeah, I wanted to show off some cool new stuff. I have some other stuff in the works. If you saw my last vlog, I mentioned there was some Halloween stuff. Like Halloween stuff is like already coming out, and there's like Summerween stuff now that exists, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I will probably show that off in another video. But we got some new Halloween stuff, which is cool because I feel like I never have enough, and I'd like to show it off. So look out for that. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you are big into spooky stuff, Halloween stuff, horror stuff. I'm here for it. I sometimes talk about stuff like Northern Exposure for some reason. So if you're like weirdly like normal and like spooky stuff, I guess you could tune in because I might talk about something fairly normal. That's rarely the case though. But want to thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in a future video. Bye.